today's function's guest, Mr. Kohli, who is not only the past, I know him as a former governor, but also a father of a very good friend of mine. His son Nalin is a very personal friend of mine. Dr. S.S. Agarwal, immediate past president, and on his last day, suddenly he has become poetic and he's concluded his speech with some poetry. And interestingly, the new president, K.K. Agarwal, has also become on the very first day poetic, and he also concluded his speech with one poem. I don't know how S.S. Agarwal has missed this bus. He should have done in his very first speech. The other dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, my colleagues, friends, and I could see some medical students also present here, which is unusual in the IMA functions. And I hope this tradition will continue in the future. With more and more the student fraternity involved, the IMA become more and more vibrant. That's what my feeling is. Well, today is the day when the term of this former president, Dr. Agarwal's, and the secretary of the Indian Medical Association has ended, and the change of the baton had taken place. Although this sounds to be ritualistic rhetoric, but then it has its own meaning, relevance, and significance as well. It is not just a changeover, sir, but it is a transfer of responsibility and accountability in continuum. That's very important. That continuity has to be maintained. And I am very happy that Dr. Agarwal has said that I have no ego. I am a clean man. I am a man with a clarity, with open-mindedness. Otherwise, the normal, what we used to observe is that the new president who takes over always wants to do something new and not in the continuum, without realizing that his term is only for a period of 1 year, which is a very small period. You can't initiate something on the very first day and conclude on your last day of the term. The 1 year period is too small in our country, and particularly in the associations like Indian Medical Association, which is a widely spread out association with a different type of personalities, mentality, thinking process. So I am happy that Dr. Agarwal has made it a very positive step that not only he will add few things, but he will also continue the good things which have already been initiated, started by these predecessors. And I, with great sense of reverence, and acknowledge the human service rendered by my esteemed colleagues, Dr. S.S. Agarwal, as well as Dr. K.K. Agarwal, one as a president and another as an honorary general secretary. We all know Dr. K.K. Agarwal as a digital man. Digitization, which is an ongoing hallmark in various aspects across the country, had been picked up very effectively by him for the larger benefit of the Indian Medical Association as its Secretary General. The trend, the pace that he has set in has been not only been effective, but also has been mind-boggling as well. It is really fortunate that the trend so set in by him as the Secretary General now would be under his own purview as he takes over the prestigious national presidentship of the Indian Medical Association. On this occasion, there are a number of things which needs to be addressed. Many of them have been addressed, but I deem it imperative to flag certain important issues which we need to ponder seriously and with a sense of deft determination. Evolve subtle strategies by diligent initiatives to tide over the same. These issues which I am going to raise, I know many of you may not like it, but it needs to be addressed and it needs to be spoken by somebody. I thought, let me take this responsibility to address this. Because these issues not only needs to be addressed, but it needs to be tackled effectively. And as you know, it's no secret that the image of medical profession has suffered a dent and beating as well. This is primarily of the practice of kickbacks, cuts and commissions amongst the fraternity. No amount of excuses would be in a position to defy the reality that these black spots do exist and are now to the common knowledge and information of the people and society at large. This has definitely eroded the credit of the profession and the credibility of the professionals. The respect that the profession used to command among the society turns out to be an event of the remote past. Recently, I was told, and I'm not sure, but in one of the major city in the southern states, the Radiology Association has called a meeting and they have decided that enough is enough and we will not give any kickbacks or cuts to any referring doctors. And they passed it unanimously. They ensured that all the radiologists of that area, of that city, remains present, agreed upon them. With that, they have not only stopped this menace, but they could effectively brought down the prices, which has ultimately benefited the society. I want this lead to be taken by the Indian Medical Association.
We have started. Sir, in Rajasthan, we have started this.
You have started?
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, I was not aware, but recently I was told that some radiology association.
Radiologist Association and Pathologist Association.
Telangana.
Telangana.
Yeah, I know. In Madras also it has taken place. So, when this awareness has now started amongst ourselves, IMA is the best organization which could take the lead to improvise or to strengthen the image of the medical professional as well as the professionals. As I have said, whether we like it or not, but this is the reality of the today's scenario. And I'm sorry to say, but this is more in the younger generation. For whatever reason, maybe there is some problem in the standard of medical education or the training in the medical colleges, maybe the increasing number of the private colleges, maybe the increasing number of the corporate sectors, corporate concern, which has now become the reality in the medical profession. I mean, it requires in-depth discussion amongst ourselves to reach to the root of this menace. And unless and until you reach to this root of the menace, you won't be able to eradicate. And how to stop this, particularly with the young generation, that's very important. If they can be controlled, if the issue can be addressed by the leaders, and if there can be control in the younger generation, they will be the trendsetters. They are the trendsetters and they will be the trendsetters. And the end result of this is the attack on the health workers. Again and again, I have repeatedly said that the attacks on hospitals, attacks on doctors, attacks on the health workers needs an introspection amongst ourselves. Assault on doctors, which has become the matter of routinity, is definitely a matter of great concern. And that's what I have been telling for last so many months and years. But then it would also should compel us to ponder and introspect within ourselves to understand as to what has gone wrong. Has the society gone wrong? Or the perception has gone erroneous? If we look at the entire situation neutrally, without any bias, we will come to an inevitable conclusion that we have, for whatever reason, lost our image to a certain extent and credibility. And one of the important cause attributable to this loss of image is the acceptance of these dirty tricks in the name of cuts, commissions and kickbacks. Indian Medical Association, in my opinion, needs to take a positive, pragmatic and tough stand on this malaise that has plagued the profession and is eating away into the vitals of its ethicality and nobility to the extent that things stand as crossroads inviting ridicule. It is loud and clear that the credibility of the profession and the respect that it deserves cannot be achieved until and unless its purity is brought back into the public gaze. Let's make it amply loud and clear that IMA stands for nobility and purity of the profession and restoring credit and credibility of its professionals. This, to my understanding, cannot be just achieved by enacting laws, even enforcing them with deft and stringent hands. Laws are there, laws were there, laws would be there, but then laws alone have not been in a position to establish nobility and purity. The real effective modality is the self-realization and self-regulation. To my mind, self-regulation needs greater commitment to the clarity of purpose and purity of its operation. It is not just the ends which matter. It is also the means which do count in order to establish their joint purity. I sincerely feel that it would be imperative on part of the Indian Medical Association to take all their members individually commit themselves through an oath of practicing their profession with purity of intent, sanctity of purpose, and clarity of intelligence. This oath should be a condition precedent for the membership of the IMA. The oath so taken be depicted by the members of IMA in the clinics or the places of working, indicating their conscious commitment and adherence to the same. Deviation thereof by the members of IMA should be dealt in a deterrent manner, including cancellation of the membership and also ensuring to its wide publicity thereof, so that the deterrent impact gets credited. It would also be prudent to put a system into the place by IMA in regard to issuing a good standing certificate to its member depicting their adherence to the oath so undertaken and testimonializing their practicing the profession in the desired manner in consonance with the principles of ethicality, morality, and value-based contours and connotations. This, in my mind, also necessitates IMA to have a meaningful dialogue with all the specialty organizations in the country so as to bring all of them into a common plank of understanding in the interest of ensuring that the face and facets of profession gain due credit and desired credibility. I know for certain that the path is tough and difficult. It would be resisted as well, but then I would always remind you of the dictum that when going gets tough, tough gets going. And I am sure that the leadership of the IMA would take these concerns and challenges seriously and grapple with them in an exemplary manner which would definitely bring a success. This would amount to scripting a story not for any single person or for the IMA as an organization, but for the purposes of establishing the credentials of the medical profession, which would evoke respect, admiration, adoration, and adulation, and thereby restoring back its days of pristine glory of the past. Let's dedicate ourselves to this noble and notable venture in the interest of profession, which only IMA can dare to venture, and it shall and is my humble expectation. With these few words, I thank you again, and I congratulate the Punjab Medical Association for organizing an excellent Central Council meeting. They have proved themselves to be one of the best hosts. And on behalf of me and on the behalf of all the office bearers of the Indian Medical Association, I congratulate Dr. Chandrakant Bakshi and its team, who has toiled day and night to ensure that all the members who had participated, who are here, they didn't find any problem. They also ensured that they go and visit the few holy places as well as the Wagah border. For every arrangement, they have proved themselves to be the best. Thank you very much. Jai Hind and Jai IMA.